This is Lemon's Car Spotting. You post to Instagram with the hashtag Lemon's Car Spotting. We pick the hooptiest.
They are so incredibly terrible.
And which one we want to become a real Lemons build.
It does car-like things. I've been pushing for one of those in Lemons too, and those are very affordable.
You guys know the drill. I got the Lemons build here and the hooptiest here. Eric, close your eyes. Tell me when to stop.
Stop.
Lemons build, that's you. I'm doing the hooptiest. What do we got this week? Wait. Oh no.
What is happening?
The thumbnail is not, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought I knew something and then I didn't.
I was like, that looks like a Fox body Thunderbird and then a Crown Vic, and now I just have no idea whatsoever.
Is it a C3 Corvette?
The proportions are right-ish for a Corvette, and the seats look vaguely bad Corvette-ish.
Wow. That's amazing. And the front end is like an Audi whatever. Well, the top part looks straight Crown Vic, but like the bottom bumper lip looks like off of an Audi 5000 or something. I don't know what the hell I'm looking at. It's amazing, whatever it is. Yeah, this is incredible. Somebody has beaten the system. They looked at all of the personal luxury coupes, sports coupes on the market. They said, you know what? I can do better than that. And here's the result.
Yeah, boy, the more you look at it, the more it just becomes puzzling. It's obviously a kit because the hood line and the front fender line do not come anywhere near each other.
Right.
It's on like Ford Explorer wheels or truck wheels.
Yeah. It's for sale. This is from High School Auto Aficionados, wherever they're based. I think somebody needs to find this and talk to the owner. Masquerade is an interested buyer. Or maybe you don't have to masquerade. I don't know. Maybe this looks amazing to you.
Yeah. I mean, well, if it's Corvette based, building a cage would be troublesome in it, to say the least. But fine Lemons rally machine for sure.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Well, good start to the week.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It gets better, man.
Well, that's one way of looking at it. Sure. What is it? A Dynasty?
Yeah, that's a well-worn Dodge Dynasty right there.
I mean, you've said this many times about, when the 5-year-old draws car, what does it look like? And this is, I mean, we've mentioned the Volvo 240. We've mentioned the early Fox Ford Fairmont. God, this may be an even better entry. I mean, look at the front. It's just like, I mean, this is well into the late 80s, early 90s when stuff was starting to look way more quote unquote aero and jelly bean like. And Chrysler was like, you know what? We're not going to do that.
Yeah. I mean, man, it's like Chrysler looked at GM's A-body and was like, well, we can do that. They're selling 1 billion of those things. Obviously, if we copy it, people will be super into it. And fair enough. There's a Dodge Dynasty that has survived, I guess, but there's not really very many of them left at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and God, did these have the Mitsubishi V6 in it? Yeah.
Here's the thing that I didn't know about Chrysler for a long time was
here comes fun fact.
Yeah, I know. They use the 6G Mitsubishi V6 and a lot of stuff, but there was also a 3.3 liter that was like a push rod V6.
Yeah.
Based on something else, and I can't remember off the top of my head. If you know in the comments, talk about the amazing specs of the 3.3 that, I always thought for a long time was just a bigger version of the Mitsubishi. Totally not.
They use that 3.3 in minivans, maybe?
Yeah. Yeah. In the minivan.
Yeah.
They used that in the minivans like into the late 90s. And I think they used it as the base engine for a little while in the LH platform. Terrible motor.
I remember, my parents had a first generation Caravan, and it had a Mitsubishi, a 2.6 Mitsubishi with a carburetor. Oh God! By no fault of my parents, they made the sensible decision for a young family, and then they were punished. So when they had to replace that car like 5 years later, they were looking at the Previa, which they bought and it still runs, and the second generation Caravan, which, you know, they figured, well, maybe they fixed all the problems with the first one. And I think that Caravan had the 3.3. And I just remember as like a 10-year-old being like, why, you know, the Previa being a notoriously not powerful vehicle,
Right.
But then being like, why does it have like 12 fewer horsepower than this 3.3 liter V6?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Judge Phil, among many of his early jalopnik writings, would throw out many spec series that he wished to see, you know, spec Crown Vic,
yes,
spec Tempo, spec Dynasty was famously one of those.
Dynasty is a really good one. My personal favorite was spec Riata, just because it rhymes with spec Miata. I'm spec Riata driver. Excuse me, what did she say? All right. Oh man. Oh boy, it's another incredible kit car. God, my notes are going to be number 1 says kit car. Number 3 also says kit car.
Kit car, yeah.
I like this one more than the other one. I mean, the other one is more of a statement because it's got the Crown Vic / Audi A6 front end. But this one, this is the one. Forget what these are called. This is the one where the whole, like, it doesn't have doors. The whole piece like lifts up and out. Yeah. Which is, man, pulling up to the Viper room and having the whole piece lift up.
Oh yeah.
I mean, come on. Plus, this thing's got the center lines. It's got the raised white letters. It's got the side pipes. What a machine.
Yeah. Again, this one looks probably Corvette based. Actually, the more I look at it, the more that front doesn't look like it could fit an engine. That's
the first thing that popped.
But then there's the side pipe.
Yeah, that would be amazing to have a mid-engine car and it's got side pipes that go the other direction. I mean, famously, that's a problem with the Corvettes when they came out with the C4 Corvette. The designers had made this very period correct, low cowl, sloping front hood thing, and then like at the last minute, I mean, and the car was already late. Like the C3 had been in production for way too long. They wanted the C4, like, all right, for 83, we're going to have a brand new Corvette. It wasn't ready. There is no 83 Corvette. They switched, they skipped straight from 82 to 84. Right. And part of the reason was the engine wouldn't fit under the hood. And then that's when they came up with crossfire injection, which was just lower profile. It didn't work, and they knew it didn't work. They were like, this is patently less efficient than whatever they had planned. But whatever they had planned, the intake was too high. So that's why they had crossfire injection for 2 years before they figured out fuel injection that would clear the hood. Classic GM story. But this is even less clearance from the look of it.
And you have to imagine if the engine's there in the front, part of it is under that clamshell door. So the serviceability of this thing is nightmarish.
Although, again, Viper room cachet, because when you lift up, everyone looks at you and then they're like, oh man, we're looking at his motor too. His 305 with crossfire injection. Yeah. Oh, dude.
I love that it has the 70s rubber bumper on the back. Too.
Yeah. As if, I mean, did these things have to pass crash tests? I mean, on the one hand, that would be the only explanation for the 5 mile an hour bumpers. On the other hand, there's no way it passed otherwise. No. Yeah. So.
Well, this is a classic problem. We've talked about this in Lemons that, we can't have a Bricklin, we can't have a DeLorean without major modifications because if and when you end up on your lid, there's literally no way to get out of the car. This is the same problem.
Even more so. Really. Well, again, Lemons rally that baby. We probably don't want to see the Lemons race. All right. Is it a Vega?
Cutlass, maybe?
I always try to guess.
It is a Vega.
Yeah. I don't. Vegas had more body variants than you realize, like,
right?
Because they had a weird little notchback. They had this, which I think is a hatchback, and then they had the cam tail one.
Yeah, which is the wagon-ish thing.
It's like a 2-door wagon. I don't think they had a 4-door wagon.
No, I don't think there was ever a 4-door any Vega. Like the Pinto also never was a 4-door.
Yeah. What was the Pontiac version of the Vega?
The Astra.
Astra, yeah. I was going to say Star Child.
Yeah, I mean, really, you're in the ballpark. Yeah.
By my middle school, there was a house that had a couple of Astras rotting in the driveway. God, I should go on Street View and see if that's still a thing. Well, the Vega, we've talked about the Vega a lot. It's on the Mount Rushmore of literal lemons. If you're writing a book about the worst lemons of all time, it's up there. Also, we've noted it's worse than the Pinto, fellow Mount Rushmore resident. We've seen just a couple of these in a lemons race. I
think there's
oddly enough.
3?
Yeah. Oddly enough, God, I can't think of the third one. The first one I'm thinking of is one that was run by among my BMW mechanic friends. I know, I'm like on a first name basis with like 10 BMW mechanics for obvious reasons. But for whatever reason, they chose a Vega, and then it had a V6, like a 60-degree V6 from something else. Not a bad car, not a bad lemons car. I'd like to see that thing back. And that's the kind of car too. Like they're BMW mechanics, and they wanted to do a real lemons car with bad car with bad engine. That's the kind of car they could totally get away with putting a BMW motor in it. And have the judges go easy on them. So. Hope to see that car again, maybe with BMW power. And then the second one was Tom Webb and Jan Cole out in Colorado. Jan had a Vega as her first car in high school, and the Lemons car is literally that car. Like she sold it, but then somehow found it and got it back and turned it into a Lemons car, which is an amazing story. We're going to do that on a Lemons World episode in the future. And it ran pretty good, that thing. I mean, original Vega motor and everything.
Yeah. We also had a V8 swapped one in the Pacific Northwest that lasted about like 10 laps, I think.
That's the one. Oh, God. That's the one where there's the video of the car on the grass filling with smoke and the driver jumping out of the passenger side window. Classic image. I forgot about that one. Yeah. Anyway.
The side note on the Pontiac Astra, I was looking up something randomly and came across the fact that somebody at the 24 Hours of Daytona in the late 70s ran a Pontiac Astra. And, Daytona, big track, fast cars at that time were running like a minute 50, minute 51. Oh, no. The Astra fastest lap of the race, 3 minutes.
Oh my God. You see that kind of thing in a Lemons race? Or do you? God, I didn't pull up. I mean, like literally twice. Yeah. You'd be lapped every lap and a quarter, I think, by the leaders. So, yeah. And that's somebody who theoretically wasn't trying to be crappy. Like when that happens in a Lemons race, it's like, we know that the fast cars are BMWs and whatnot, and we brought a Humber Super Snipe. So it was like you knew what you were getting into. That guy, in theory, was like trying to do well. Well, anyway, Vega, good looking car. I'll give it that. I think it's better looking than the Pinto. Yeah, and that's about where the advantages stop. I agree. Okay. It's a car. It's a car. Yeah. Which I always picture that as being, somebody in Boston talking about. Right. Yeah. Just like a generic vehicle that they drive. Yeah. Well, is it a Focus or a Taurus? What are you talking about? That's a Ford car. It's a Ford car. It's an Explorer. Apologies to all of our Northeast residents.
Yeah.
The Ford Ka, I remember when it came out. I mean, this was around the time when they had that GT90 concept car. And it was like all of these crazy geometric intersecting shapes. I mean, it's distinctive. I'll give it that. And some of these design elements made it into production cars. This one being one of them. I feel like that the bad Mercury Cougar of around that time had some of these styling choices.
Yeah, the Cougar and even the Focus.
Yeah, that's true. First gen Focus was toned down version. Yeah. I would say this and the Focus were the most successful examples of whatever they called this styling treatment.
Yeah. Oh man, there has to be some coined phrase that Ford was using.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, 100%. Like, what was the advertising tag? They never sold these in the States, so we didn't see car commercials. So if you lived in a place where they sold the car, tell us what their marketing strategy was.
Mostly Europe, but I think they sold these in Mexico.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
And they're getting close to the 25-year rule.
Right.
If they're not already there.
I have seen a couple of them over the years with Mexican plates in California. That's Lemon's legal. We if your car's not U.S. market, where we have to take a much closer look is if it's Chinese domestic market, because some of those things are basically like poly like plastic tough sheds with motors in them. But any car that was sold as a mass production vehicle in the more Western world is going to be fine. Mexico, totally fine. So that'd be cool to see a car. They're little. They're like Fiat 500 sized. Yeah. All right. We've got graphics.
Is that
nice. Well, the Maxima, I mean, this was the original 4DSC, right? That was this generation? Or is that the generation before? Yeah, the four-door sports car. They had a little...
okay. Probably, yeah. I mean, it's kind of earned. Like, these were good cars.
Yeah.
Well, as good as Nissan ever made anything anyway.
Yeah, right. These were also sort of the kind of short-lived pantheon of this is like in 1990 when rap was becoming more mainstream and rappers were having some success, but not like the level of financial success that they're having now. So there was sort of a list of cars that were not bad cars, but they certainly weren't exotic, that were shouted out in rap songs from that period. And the Maxima was definitely one of them. I know that scene in Boys in the Hood where there's like a guy trying to do like some insurance scam and he has to go to the hood to hire a dude to steal a car for him. And I think it was totally one of these Maximas. And the other notable one from that era is the Mazda MPV. And also like the Samurai and the Tracker and stuff. They were kind of trendy for rappers of the time, and it's like you have to be somewhat successful to afford any car. So
right.
And then now they just rap about stuff that the Koch brothers also have, like Bentleys and stuff, and that's not nearly as fun. Anyway, homemade graphics just to let people know.
It's they could have totally borrowed, and maybe they did. It's hard to tell exactly, but they totally could have borrowed the Maxell tape font there. Wouldn't have been a hard one to borrow.
Was Maxell the one that had the ad of the dude sitting in the chair being blown away by the sound? Was that Maxell? God.
Yeah, if you know in the comments, let us know. We can't think of it off the top
Is that
of
a
our
successful advertising campaign or not, where it's like super iconic, everybody knows what I'm talking about, but you also don't remember what it was for?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, cool Maxima. Good Lemons car. Yeah. Certainly find man. Oh. Well, so we we've had a couple of these on here, and a while back we had a post where it was like 2 abandoned Avantis, and one of them was the 4-door, and we commented how rare it was. And I feel like I looked it up, and it is super rare. They made like 100 of these or something. Boy, I don't know what, I mean, I just don't know what to say about this.
Yeah, it's totally befuddling. First of all, I love that it's obviously in an auto zone.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you do that with an Avanti 2? Like, you know, is this one of those deals where you go in and you know exactly what you want? You know, it's the distributor off of a Chevy 350 from a 77 Malibu or whatever it is.
Exactly. But they're like, what is the year? No,
it's for an Avanti 2, but okay, what is that?
I remember, God, in the days before smartphone, post cell phone, but pre smartphone, where my buddy with an MGB, there are various alternator swaps for it that aren't MGB, you know, and so he's at the AutoZone, and one of them was like, God, it was something like more common than an MGB, but not really that mainstream. It was like a Ford EXP or something where it was like kind of like, and so he goes down to the AutoZone and like, I need an alternator for an 86 Ford EXP. And they were like, yeah, we don't have that. And so he calls me. And so I have to look up on a computer because we don't have smartphones, like what other crossovers are. And I was like, all right, dude, like, hey, try this. Like, no, wait, like try this. And I could hear him on the other end, like, so it's a 91 Mercury Sable. No, sorry. It's a 93 Saturn. The dude, like, you not know remotely what your car is? So anyway, presumably, like you say, this dude was going through a similar trials and tribulations. Oh,
man, Raymond Loewy, though, hit a home run with the design. Got to say that. Don't know about the 4-door version of it, but
I don't know if the 4-door was what Raymond Loewy had in mind, but boy, this is from Trans Alante in Buffalo, New York.
Nice. That is Lemons Rally regulars who made a T-Tops Alante for Lemons Rally last summer. So
excellent. All right. Oh man.
Double whammy here.
Double whammy. Although, the Bronco 2 is one of those cars that have a little bit of Radwood cred, and they should be like $10, and they aren't, for a nice one, you're actually paying, I don't know, 4 figures, which is more than it should be.
Certainly more than you're paying for a Corsica LT.
Yeah, the Corsica LT will be $10, if that. So, and then maybe a Cougar or something off to the right. Now, what's the Corsica? I always screw this up. So you had the Corsica, the Beretta. Beretta was a 2-door, right? Yeah. And it was the Beretta is the coupe version of the Corsica.
That's right.
Okay, so it is the same car because there's one in there where I always screw up and it's like a different. Anyway, maybe it's the Lumina that's like the different car.
Yeah, they all look the same in the way that GM's styling, as we talked about with the Dynasty, was similar at the time. So, the Beretta, was, I don't know, supposed to look more futuristic, I guess.
I suppose it did.
Yeah, it had the door handle on the B pillar, which was weird, and the track seatbelt dealy. Yeah, the Corsica, I don't think it had any of that, and they really weren't remarkable in any way. We had one on a Lemons Rally that was the nicest Corsica probably in the world, and it was a V6 5-speed.
Ooh, that's basically an E30.
That was at least an E21, so they were only 9 years behind at that point. But terrible cars. Generally unremarkable, perfect for lemons. I don't know if we might have had one
Yeah, like I can picture one like running at one of the really early races.
Yeah.
It's one of those cars that was around a lot and then was not around at all.
Yeah, it is the GM version of the Tempo, basically.
Yeah, right.
Was everywhere. They sold them.
Yeah, sold in high numbers, survived in low numbers.
Low numbers, yeah. The Bronco too, by the way, based on the Ranger. So.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah. Ranger of the same era.
Yeah, the original Bronco was the F-150, Bronco 2.
Yeah. All right, next up, got a wood grain Fit.
Fit, yeah.
Well, the Fit's a real car.
Fit's a great car. I mean, that is the default answer has become my default answer, by the way, for general, what kind of car should I get?
Yeah, right. Totally.
You want a Fit. Everybody wants a Fit. That's kind of the default answer.
Yeah, no, I always pick body configuration that you want, whether it be, small hatchback or SUV or whatever. And then give me a good reason why it's not a Honda or Toyota.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
And if it's not a good enough reason, then you shouldn't get that car.
Yep.
I agree. Friend of Lemon's, Lisa Sims, has a Fit that's got 6 trillion miles on it, and it just works great. So maybe she should wood grain it.
I mean, clearly, the intersection of people who do wood grain applique to their daily driver and Honda Fit owners.
Yeah.
That is not a big overlap.
No, it's not. It's nowhere near the, say, Mercury Sable overlap.
Right. I was going to go with PT Cruiser, but
PT Cruiser is like a circle. All right. Oh God, the hits just keep coming. What? Okay.
It's a Corvette. You can tell from the door.
Right, like a
C4 late
C4 Corvette. This isn't horribly executed.
It's not a good idea, but it's well done.
Yeah, it's those are like Boxster taillights maybe, and it's like the wheels are cool, like sort of Porsche roof style wheels. It reminds me of something. I can't quite put my finger on it. I mean, I guess maybe 928 it reminds me of a little bit.
I see with the big bulging rear fender, they're going for like a C2 split window effect.
Right.
But they've achieved it with the weirdest mishmash of parts. And then it's all like hung very poorly against the original roof. I think that's really where your brain kind of snaps. It looks like it's some photo relic or something. Like something's gone wrong with your camera is what it looks like.
Yeah, totally. I mean, this looks like, I'm just looking at the body work, such as it is. It looks less homemade than the usual one of these, and it makes me wonder if it was like a thing you could buy. If you know, post down in the comments, or if this is just a mad genius who beat the system.
Man,
quite a
tough week.
Yeah,
a tough week.
It is. Well, we've got one left. What's it gonna be? Oh no, we don't have one left. That's it. All right. I missed one on my list. I only have 9. Well, I've got the hooptiest, and boy, of the 3 kit cars. You got the Vega, Dynasty. You know what? I'm just going to leave it right here.
Yeah.
All right. The 3 kit cars, there was the Corvette thing that we just saw. And then there was the Sterling or whatever with the whole front full face clamshell thing. This is the only one that incorporates styling elements of full-size sedans into the, into the look. And for that, I appreciate it. The proportions are, almost Murano cross cab in there.
Yeah.
So much car, so little greenhouse. This is my pick for the hooptiest.
That's a strong choice. As you as you say, when you're rolling up to the club in either of the other two kit cars, you're going to get attention. I don't think the attention you'll get rolling up to the club in this will be quite as, I don't know. It'll just be a lot of very confused looks, I think.
Yeah. Agreed.
It's like the, is it the Rally Fighter that was like the gigantic car that was like 1.5 times normal scale? That's what
yeah. Right. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. It's like, it was like a gigantic Group B, whatever. Where it was like, it's the size of a Hummer, but the styling of a Peugeot 206.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. That's what this is like.
Right.
As we said, kit cars and lemons is generally they don't go well. Would love to see any of these three kits if you could make them safe for lemons. But for let's assume that nobody can, and we'll go from there. There's actually 3 cars that I would love to see in lemons out of this group. Well, 4, actually, all of them. But that's besides the point.
10.
The Ka I think would be great. I think somebody would have a really good time in those. There's parts to make them handle really well. They race them in England a bunch. The Corsica, always a Class C choice, but I think I have to go with the obvious IOE front runner should you show up in it, which is the rusted out nasty Dodge Dynasty. Yeah, I mean, just look at that thing.
It's pretty amazing. And leave the Pep Boys hubcaps, leave the sort of dirty, weathered paint.
If you can leave the back seat in, so you've got the beige over beige over beige happening. You kind of got the trifecta, the dirty headlights that probably don't let any light actually out of them.
Yeah.
I mean, just cage the thing and slap the number, 4 on it.
Totally.
And you are totally ready for lemons duty in this thing. This is spectacular. And we've never had one.
Yep. It amazes me, but every time we do one of these, there's at least one sort of normal production car in here that has never been in a lemons race. So, and being the first of something in a lemons race is always good.
That's right. The loophole is the biggest the first time you go through it. So, although I will say the Dodge Dynasty loophole will always exist.
It's going to be open for a while. Yeah. Well, there you go. That'll do it for this week of Lemons Car Spotting. Keep tagging the photos. Keep finding your crazy kit cars. And we'll see you next week.
A dynasty of what? That's the real question.
That is a good point. Like you're just making vases, or I don't know.